Hello and welcome! Today is Put the QoR Palette Together Day. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you. I have a tub of QoR paints. I did a huge QoR art haul and I did a fun video where we swatched them using pansies, and I'll link that for you in the corner. And I have some new paints that I just put up in another previous video, which I will link, that were gifted to me by a friend. So we are going to make this QoR palette absolutely complete using all of the QoR paint that I have. It's gonna be full. This is what I have going on right now. This is my original QoR palette. You can see it was moderate. It was basically the 24 set, and then I had a couple extra colors that I added in later, which may not even be on this swatch sheet. But now look at it, it's so full. So the QoR colors that I've shown you in the two previous art hauls I talked about are already poured into pans. I didn't need to waste your time doing that. I just squeezed them into pans. So these are the latest new ones over here. This is other previous new ones. So the way I had this palette set up previously was with 3M Velcro, and it's so full now. Let's see if I can get that out. So you can see here, there's a little magic eraser, but I have Velcro on that side and Velcro on this side so that I could just move these around, and that had been quite handy when I'd been wanting to add new colors in. However, now I have all these new colors. So excited about it, and you can see it's quite full. So what I'll be doing is taking all these out and cleaning the palette. I'll take the Velcro off because I'm going to affix these with double-sided tape instead, because I don't plan on getting any new colors. Although for Christmas this year, I am asking for the olive green. The QoR's olive green looks absolutely delightful, and I want that on my list and in my palette. So I'm going to leave a space for it with positive thinking that I'll receive olive green for Christmas. So this one looks wet, is it? It's really interesting because when I first got the 24 set, I poured them into pans and they didn't stay wet very long at all. They dried really quickly. But all of the new paints I've gotten, this is one of the new ones, they don't dry very fast at all. And I made the mistake of putting QoR's Bismuth Yellow in the advent calendar, and that one apparently takes months to dry. That's this one here. It's still kind of tacky. I need to clean it up. But you can see, even in this palette, it leaked everywhere. So quite a trial with that one, darn it. Also, I have, see, these are ones that are already in this palette, so they're just spares. I have these little palettes here that may have a color in them that I don't have in the big palette. So if that's the case, I'll pull the half pans out of here and add them to the big palette. That way I just have everything I might possibly need. Yeah, I think like ultramarine pink, ultramarine violet are ones that I don't have in the big palette, but we'll figure that out. Might even make some mini palettes while we're at it. I'm not sure yet. And just to show you, the Velcro comes off very easily, just like that. It's still actually really sticky, which is surprising. Some of the newer 3M Velcro I've received and tried to use does not work as well. It starts to come apart, but this is like the original one I used way back when I first got these paints, and they're still together, but they do come off very simple, so this won't take long at all, and I'll go clean this up all pretty and we'll be ready to go. I have some pans from my original 24 palette that are getting low or lower, especially this diarylide yellow. So I want to refill them. I'm a little concerned though, because I remember putting cadmium yellow primrose on my I need to replace the tube list, and I don't know that I did before I know by. So that's a bummer. I really love this yellow. I do have these two yellows, Hansa Yellow Light and the soft bismuth vanadite yellow. So I'll get by. I just really like that one, but we'll see. I haven't looked through my tubes yet to see what I have. Yeah, I have a lot of the bismuth and the Hansa Yellow Light, so I'll be fine. But I'm gonna see if I have enough paint to fill these up or not, because boy, that's my original very first 24 set, and I know I've refilled a couple of these a few times already. Could be interesting. Good news and bad news. Apparently, these are not ones I've refilled yet because these tubes are still pretty full, so that's good. I know I've refilled ultramarine blue and a bunch of the other colors, which is probably why I'm missing the tubes. Zero cadmium yellow primrose. I'm so sad about that. And no cobalt teal. However, the cobalt teal is not a huge deal because I have this little half pan here, and it's also in half pans in 2 of these sets. So when I run out of this in the full pan, I'll just replace it with the half pan, one of those half pans. This one's just gonna be used up and be sad and empty. That's okay. And no, this didn't come in any of these other sets. This Quinn Gold that I'm about to refill is the original Quinn Gold, and I think it's still the one they're selling today, PO48 and PY150. So yeah, it has some PO48 in it. And I don't think any of these sets have Quinn Gold in it. Nope. Okay, everything's been filled up that can be. And these 5 tubes are now completely empty, and this is what my hands look like, because that's the joy of filling tubes. I squeezed them, but then you still have to like push through the ends to get all the paint out of the little part that goes under the cap. So I have a little bit of Quinn Gold left. That's good. That makes me happy. But I'll put these 5 tubes in a spreadsheet that I've been keeping track of since my no-buy started, of what I use and what I use up, and then also what I wish I had. So I have a wish list on there, and I'll add these as used up. As far as the tubes, I know I'll put a note that I just put them into full pans instead, but I'm gonna go clean up and get this stuff organized. Here's the palette. It's so pretty. I don't know if this is the order yet, but I wrote them down. This is 57 colors. That's insane. And I left space for that olive green that I will get hopefully in Christmas time. And then let's see, in this set here, this is the intensity. I had all these colors already in here, so this set can stay intact, and I can add some colors to that in the future. Out of this urban sketch set, there were 3 colors I didn't have. Yeah, I took them out of here, and that's the benzimidazolone yellow right here, the quinacridone red, and the cobalt blue. Luckily, the half pans are the same size as one full pan when you put them on their side. And the third set here, the granulators, just the 2 colors, ultramarine pink and ultramarine violet, I didn't have, and those are these 2 right here. I grabbed some paper out of my scrap bin. I keep a scrap bin of watercolor paper, and I'm going to go ahead and swatch all these out in the order I have them here to see if I like that order or if I want to change anything out, and we'll go from there. And I am going to speed through this part of the swatching because we're going to go through the final swatching in more detail later on in the video, but it's kind of fun to see all these colors come to life on the paper. This paper happens to be the B 100% cotton watercolor paper. It's 140 pound. It looked like a really good sheet. I'm not sure why I had it in my scrap bin, but it was great for this because I end up swatching all these out, and then I do end up cutting them all apart and spending way too long. Sorry, that was the dog shaking in the background there. Anyway, spending way too long, lots and lots of hours deciding on the order because it's gonna be permanent. Like, I know it's tape and I could take it out and redo it, but that would be really hard to do. You can see how they're jam-packed in there. I did think about changing to a different palette, but I didn't want to. I want to keep this palette. And then somehow near the end, I end up swatching 2 of the turquoises out of order. So I grab an extra piece of watercolor paper, re-swatch them, and figure out, oh yes, I did do them incorrectly. So I cut them out and put them in the right order so that I can decide if this is the way I want this palette to be arranged or not, which I've already told you I changed it all. But look at those beautiful colors. Doesn't that just make your heart and eyes happy? And here's a little example of me cutting them apart, and I cut them apart even more because I do want to change some of the order of the in-between ones as well, but this is just a sample. Some of the words will look a little funny on this clip because I had to flip the whole video horizontally, because what I did is when I put these in order, I had them upside down on the table and then I just taped them upside down, and I realized when you do that and then you flip it over, it's the wrong way. So you can see the palette and the swatch sheet don't match because the swatch sheet is showing you guys the correct way that the palette's organized, and the palette is just swapped horizontally. So it makes a lot more sense, the new color order, in my opinion. The raw sienna gets everywhere. I still have to clean the lid and redo the swatch sheet. So let's do it. I was going to start with the interference green, but I realized that needed water to sit on it for a while, so I gave up on that and I moved to the Bismidazzolone yellow. That's a PY 154. Next up is the Titan Buff PW6:1, and most of these are pretty good light fast ratings. After that, we have Naples Yellow, which is a PBR 24, a PBK 7, and a PW4. Followed by the Raw Sienna Natural. The one coming up next is a PY 43. And it got everywhere. That one was all over the palette. It was really frustrating. It's really sticky. After this one is Iridescent Gold Fine, and I noticed when I laminated my swatch sheet, my lamination didn't stick to the iridescent gold, which apparently has like a little bit of a powdery surface maybe. Here I'm going back to the titanium white, which is a PW6. I really like the titanium white that QoR offers. It's quite opaque really. Now this is the Cadmium Yellow Primrose, my PY 35. So precious since it's the last of what I have. Maybe I should put that on my Christmas wish list too, huh? If I do, I'll never use up the others. Bismuth Vanadate Yellow here, PY 184. Followed by Hansa Yellow Light, PY 3. After this, we have the, coming up, where is it? There it is, Nicolazzo Yellow, PY 150. It's a beautiful one, and it bled into the one above it. I was trying to be so careful because I wanted to do these swatches in order. So I was trying to be careful not to touch any of the wet color elsewhere, but sometimes it just happens. This is the Diarylide Yellow. It's a PY 83, and it's also considered an HR 70. Now this one has a light fast of excellent instead of a light fast of 1. Not sure the difference there. They just changed their rating system later on in the tubes. This one is the Isoindolinone Yellow, PY 110. That's one of the new ones. It was a gift from a friend, and it's beautiful. And it is very close to the Diarylide Yellow. Here is Indian Yellow, PY 154, PY 150, and PR 206. This one is the Quinacridone Gold. This is the PO 48 with the PY 150 in it. A light fast rating of 2, so slightly less than some others. Now that the interference green has had some time for water to sit on it, we can swatch that one. And it doesn't have a light fast rating or pigment information. They just call it interference green. That one beside it is interference blue. It's also a good time, since the Sharpie has dried on that last square there, the last rectangle, to do the iridescent gold, and that is the fine one. It's in parentheses. Also no light fast rating. It says it's granulating. All the interference colors and iridescent colors are considered granulating. This one is the transparent yellow oxide. It's a PY 42. Followed by transparent brown oxide, PR 101. Very grateful to have these colors. Then we'll go to the transparent red oxide, another PR 101. PR 101 is a very versatile pigment. I can't wait to paint an actual painting with this palette and see how it feels. It's a lot of colors. Burnt Sienna, Natural, PBR 7 here. It's beautiful burnt sienna, don't you think? Van Dyke Brown, PR 101, another PR 101. Told ya, versatile. Beautiful dark brown. This is Burnt Umber Natural, PBR 7. Right there. Beautiful dark brown. We're going to follow that one up with Brown Umber, another PBR 7. Which of these browns is your favorite? There's one more coming up here. Raw Umber Natural is the last one in this row, PBR7. So yes, please tell me in the comments below, out of these browns, which do you like the best? All right, moving on to the next row, we have Pyrrole Orange, PO73. Followed by my favorite orange, Transparent Pyrrole Orange, which is going to be a PO71. However, this one only has a light fast rating of good, and I didn't have a light fast rating for the Pyrrole Orange. We're going to follow that up with the Disazo, Scarlet, PR242. I really like that hue on that Scarlet. That's quite pretty. This one here is the Permanent Scarlet. It's a PR168. Now the Disazo Scarlet has a light fast rating of 1, and this one has a light fast rating of excellent. The Permanent Scarlet is an older tube, so I think that it's probably that they just changed their light fast ratings. This is Cadmium Red Medium. It's our usual PR108 for Cadmium Red. Followed by another new one, Perylene Crimson, PR179. Beautiful color. Then we have the Venetian Red. It's a PR101 again. And then I stuck the neutral tint at the end of this row. It's a PY42 mixed with PR122 and a PB15:3, and it has a light fast rating of 2. And they consider this one granulating for some reason. I'll have to look and see if I agree. It doesn't really look granulating on the swatch. That one is the Manganese Blue, PG7 and PB15:3. And then I have to cut these squares in half, or these rectangles in half, because I have little half pans in them. And the top one there is the Quin Red, which is a PV19, light fast rating of 1. And I don't know if I go to the right or left after this. We'll see. We are gonna do, nope, okay, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, PR172, light fast good. After that, we have the Quinacridone Magenta. That is a PR122. I use a lot of that color. I've had to refill that one before. Then we have the Ultramarine Pink, PV15. Now we are going to the Dioxazine Purple, which is a PV23. That's a deep, dark, beautiful color. Followed up by the Payne's Gray Violet, and I did not have light fast rating, or not, I do have light fast rating information. It's light fast 1. I don't have pigment information for that one for some reason. This one is the Payne's Gray. It's a PB15:3 with a PBK7 and a PV19. Now we're going to hit the next row with Cerulean Blue Chromium, PB36:1. We're going to follow that up with the Phthalo Blue Green shade, PB15:3. Next up, we have the Ultramarine Blue, PB29. Now we are going for the Prussian Blue, PB27. I really like the Prussian Blue in QoR's set. It's a little bit deeper than some brands' Prussian Blue, but it can still be bright and beautiful if you want it to be. Indigo, one of my favorites, PB15:3, PBK7, and PV19. And they're considering that one granulating. That one's the Cobalt Blue, PG50. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in that other little half pan Ultramarine Violet, which is another PV15. So those two have the same, the one above it and that one have the same pigment, PV15. Now we're going to the greens. This is Terre Verte. It's PG23. And that's followed by Cobalt Green. And it's still very wet and sticky. PG26. Very granulating. After that's the Viridian green. This is a true Viridian. It's a PG18. Pretty strong for a true Viridian. I like it a lot. I think I said that a little strangely, but I think you know what I mean. Cobalt teal, PG50. Beautiful. I love that one. Phthalo turquoise. Oh boy, that's a nice one. PB15:3 mixed with PG7. That one only has a light fast rating of 2 though. And the cobalt teal is also light fast excellent, by the way. This is ultramarine turquoise, another beautiful color, PB29 and PG7. We're going to follow that up with cobalt turquoise, PB36. You can see the strength in that color. Then we have green gold. And the blank square, or the blank rectangle next to it, is going to be for the olive green. And that one is sap green, another beautiful color, PG36, PR101, and PY150. And the last one is hooker's green, PY150, PB60, and PR122. And that is a wrap on the swatch sheet. What do you guys think? Did I choose the color order well, or would you have done it differently? Well, here we have the brand new palette. 57 colors, going to be 58 when Christmas comes. I'm just thinking positively. 57 colors, more colors than anyone ever needs, except it's so much fun to have them all. I like it. I like it a lot. This is awesome. And my swatch sheet here, I did label the back side, and I went ahead and put some paint swatches on it just to make it a little easier when I'm looking at it this way and then looking at it this way. I can find that color more easily than if it were just text. I will laminate this, but the paint is still a little bit wet on this side. And I snipped the corners so they're round, which is great. I like that. And you can see even with lamination, as long as I cut it real close to the edge, it'll fit in here just fine. I liked my old swatch sheet because it was extra mixing space by having that gap in the middle, and the back was blank, so it was extra mixing space. And I've used it once or twice only, but when I've used it, it's been nice. Obviously, with the palette completely full of colors, I cannot use anything for mixing space because it's jam-packed full, but the lid is usually enough. And in the lid, I do have some dots of color still that I decided not to wash out because I can use them up. That's a purple, cad red, I think, the cobalt teal. I think that's a raw sienna or Naples yellow, and Payne's gray, and one of the dark browns. I don't remember, a couple of dark browns here. So I'll just use those up, and then this will be my mixing space. I'm taking this to Canada with me. I don't know why. I want to paint while I'm there. I'm just not sure how it's going to work out. I guess we'll find out, won't we? Some of these colors are still really wet. Like that one has caused me all kinds of problems. You can see it's everywhere, and that's been a mess. But I'm taking my camp trailer. I have plenty of flat places that I can leave this because I leave in a week and a day, I think. So this will need to stay flatter longer than that, I suspect. So I will make sure to keep it safe, but I want it with me because I like my new palette. I'm going to have so many palettes with me. It'll be quite interesting to see if I get to any of them. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now. But I'm taking my camp trailer. I have plenty.
Tell her that's enough kisses.